Peace, everyone. Welcome to another Supreme Numerics offering powered by Mr. Westbrook's class on YouTube. And Supreme Numerics is where we use the practical and proper study of numerology to help you activate your personal power and abundance. And this video is going to cover the April 2025 Universal Month forecast, as well as the numerical vibration of the word April and how it relates and connects to this universal month. Now, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and share my screen and share a message about this month before I go into my usual breakdown. And this message comes from one of the astronumerologists that I love to learn from, Jazz Aphrodite, aka Jackie Levine. She sent out this email to her list about a week ago in preparation for this new month that we're going into. So I want to share this email and I'll read it to you all just in case you can't see it on the screen. And I'll use that as a segue into my breakdown of this month in the universal energy. Now, before I do that, just a reminder, if you want to know about how this energy is affecting you on a personal level for your personal month forecast, reach out to me, send me a message. My contact is in the description, and I'll show you how to calculate your personal month and your personal year and whatever else you want to know about. But let's go to this message from my sister Jackie, who I've read all of her books. I own all 3 of her books. I participated in one of her courses. I watch her on Live with Lloyd Strayhorn on Numbers and You. We're all colleagues of Lloyd, her, King Simon, all of the astronumerologists of the 21st century that I build with and that you've seen on the platform. We're all a community. But I really love the work that she does, and I really love this message that she shares. So let's go to this message here. Make sure I do this correctly. All right, there it is. Now, like I said, this email was sent out to her email list. I'm subscribed to her email list, so she sent this out to everyone. So this isn't a personal email that she sent to me individually. Just wanted to clarify that. But it says, next month, which is quickly upon us, you'll be entering a 4 universal month. 2025, 2 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. 9 plus 4. April's the 4th month equals 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. This is not just any 4. This is a 13, which means you have to work harder in April. 13 is the vibration of putting in effort that you may not have exerted in the past. Don't expect too much assistance, and know this: what you put in is what you get out. Also, don't spend your money on frivolous things like brunch or Amazon shopping. For the next 18 years, while Pluto is in Aquarius, your spending should be around knowledge, education, and spiritual hygiene. This is the time for you to empower yourself with as much information and insight into who you truly are, who the oppressors don't want you to be. You have to reclaim your royalty. You must reclaim your throne. You can't do it on the limited information that the internet provides. You can't do it in the midst of all these distractions. So I wanted to take time out to make sure you recalibrate to the vibration of the 13-4. Put the work into your business, your book, your classes, your education, your spiritual empowerment. Just do the work and take no shortcuts. 4 is not an energy of quick and easy. It's an energy of organization, structure, discipline, and codification. Create the blueprint, put it in plain form for all to see and use, and disseminate it widely. And I will cut that off right there. And I love that message. It perfectly encapsulates the energy that we're getting ready to go into, and I will be reiterating some of, a lot of what she said. Now, I wanted to add on about the 13-4 The reason why the number 13 requires more work exerted than in the past than usual, and compared to just a regular number 4, a base number 4, is that the number 13 is a karmic debt number. And in Jackie's book, Numbers Decoded, Cards Unfolded here, she has a chapter on karmic debt numbers. So if you're not familiar with karmic debt numbers, this is how she describes them. Karmic debt numbers indicate major difficulties and setbacks in your current life as payment for the abuse of power, effort, freedom, integrity, or love in the past life. Without karmic debt, you're free to choose any point on the spectrum of your numbers to express yourself. With karmic debt, you're forced to start at the negative end of the spectrum. The karmic debt is very apparent, and most people feel like victims of fate rather than accept the karmic debt as a responsibility to work through to get to the positive side of the spectrum. Karmic debt is hardly learned in childhood. Most people with karmic debt in their charts struggle with the negative aspects until maturity at age 45. Now, karmic debt is discussed. She discusses karmic debt specifically in the context of the life path number, the destiny number, and the soul number. But wherever we see the karmic debt number, we know that we can be influenced by that energy. So although this number 13 isn't being expressed as a destiny number, a life path number, or a soul number, and is being expressed as a part of the universal month, we are still affected by the energy of that 13, of that karmic debt number. And we'll talk about the 13 as a karmic debt number, and we'll also talk about the themes that come up with the other additional meanings of the number 13. And what she says about the 13, in addition to what was mentioned in that email message, is that 13 for karmic debt is formed from a lack of effort and work in the past life. Instead, time was spent on insignificant activities, sidestepping duties, and leaving work for others to complete. This debt can be overcome with a lot of hard work and effort, far harder than the normal share. And that's to say that when we look at the number 4 by itself, the number 4 is already about hard work and disciplining ourselves and putting our head down. But the 13 is like the number 4 multiplied times 2, times 3, times 4. So it's the 13 is a number 4, but it's the number 4 on a higher level or on a more amplified level. But with that being said, let's talk about this 4 universal month, and I'll add some additional information about the 13. So along with being a karmic debt number, the number 13, which we came to by adding up the universal year to the calendar month, it's a 9 universal year because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. And April's the 4th month on the calendar. So we added that 9 universal month that we got from adding up the 4 digits of the year to the number 4. And we arrived at the sum of 13. So that's how we got to the 13. And we got to the 4 by adding the 1 plus 3 equals 4. So along with the 13 being a karmic debt number, it's also the number of power and dominion. Let me go over here to my notes. I have the notes over my shoulder here, but I have more detailed notes in front of me. Now, it's the number of power and dominion if the 13 is properly understood and used. When it's not properly understood and used, it can cause destruction unto the person that's holding that 13 or carrying that 13 energy. And I talked about the number 13 last month in my Black Love Day breakdown, since that holiday falls on the 13th of the month. So if you want to hear more about the 13, you can go back to that Black Love Day video that I did back in February. The 13 also tells us that we need to avoid laziness and procrastination. Again, putting in that work. The 13 is also about transformation. It's a number of symbolic death and rebirth. Especially when you look at the tarot card, it's the death card in tarot. People who understand the esoteric or the occult meaning of that tarot card know and recognize that it's not talking about literal physical death, but it's talking about a symbolic death, a transformation of sorts. And that's very fitting that 13 is connected to April for this universal month. We just had the spring equinox in March, on March 20th. And April is usually that transformation or that transitional period where we start to actually physically see the changes from winter to spring. The only physical change we probably see, especially for those like me that's living in the Northeast, is we'll see longer hours of daylight with the sun being out. But really in March, we don't really see anything growing yet. The leaves coming back. We don't really see any greenery. But in April, we start to see that. And it's also fitting that Easter, according to the pagan persuasion, Easter falls in April. This year it's on April 18th. But in the Christian world, it's the resurrection of Jesus that falls on Easter Sunday, April 18th. And if you study history, you know that the Catholic Church or the Romans, whatever groups were running things at that time, they combined the pagan with the religious, and just combine them together. And we see the same thing with Christmas too, with the winter solstice and the birth of Christ. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I was just pointing out that it's very fitting that April is a number 13 universal month, representing symbolic death and rebirth and transformation, as we know our physical earth will be going through that process in April as well. The leaves on the trees start growing back. The grass starts getting green again. The flowers start blooming. All of that happens in the month of April. So it's very fitting and very interesting that that's what the 13 represents. And April is a 13 universal month. Now, moving on to the number 4, when we go to the base number, adding 1 plus 3 from that 13 to equal 4, here are the themes that come with that energy. Number 4 cycles are all about, like we said at the very beginning, work, putting in that work, that hard work. It's about foundation building a strong foundation for yourself that will set you up for the future. And the number 4, you can look at it from a matter of perspective. You can look at it from the perspective of you being limited or restricted, which the number 4 does represent. Or you can look at it as a opportunity to get yourself organized and like we just said, build that foundation. Because when that 5 comes around, that's when you have a little bit more breathing room and a little bit more freedom in the month of May. The month of May would be a 5 universal month. But it's all about being structured. It's all about being practical. It's all about having a plan. In a 4 universal month, it's not a good time to just do things all kind of willy-nilly and go with the flow. You want to plan out as much as possible while leaving some breathing room, because unexpected things can happen during the 4 cycle. The theme, another theme you can think of when we talk about the number 4 is expect the unexpected. You know, things might come out of left field. So that's even more reason to be organized and plan out everything you want to do and everything you want to accomplish this month. Number 4 is also tied to the odd and unusual. So along with things happening unexpectedly, you might have odd and unusual events, occurrences, or connections, you know, odd and unusual people and relationships, show up during this 4 universal month. Those are things to look out for. And it's a time that we really need to be disciplined. We really need to discipline ourselves in our work, discipline ourselves with our spending, since resources can tend to be limited, as Jackie mentioned in her message. So discipline. And discipline, first letter of discipline is D, and in both systems of numerology, the D is a number 4. D for discipline, D number 4. So extra emphasis on that. Now, as far as health, before I go to the people who will be most affected in this 4 universal month, let's talk about health. And health is also connected to the odd and unusual. If you go to the doctor, you might want to go and get a second opinion for what the doctor tells you, because the number 4 is connected to misdiagnosis. It can be connected to odd and unusual or different diagnoses or illnesses that may seem weird or unexplainable. And the number 4 is also a mental health number. So during this month, it'll be a time for us to really mind our mental and be wary and cautious about what energy, what thoughts, what we're consuming in our minds during the 4 month. We should listen and consume high vibrational content, high vibrational music, high vibrational talk, speeches. When I had my consultation with King Simon back in 2016 or 2017, he told me to listen to motivational speakers like Eric Thomas or Les Brown, who he has worked with. So we have to be mindful of what we let into our minds, especially when we're consuming media, whether it's television media, social media, streaming. Be mindful of what we're allowing into our mind and thoughts, since the number 4 can be connected to that mental health, that moodiness, that depression. We have to keep our minds and our vibrations high. Now, as far as who will be affected most during this universal number 4 month, 13-4 month, will be astrologically, it'll be those born under the sign of Aquarius, and numerologically, those whose birthdays add up to a number 4. So that means if you were born on the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, or the 31st of any month, this month of April should be even more significant to you. And I'm a master number 22, born on the 22nd of the month. So this month should prove to be significant for me in some way. And my hope is that it's significant in a good way, in a positive way, and not so much in a challenging way. So I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm sticking to these themes of putting in the work, being disciplined, being organized, being steadfast, building a strong foundation for myself for the rest of the year, because we're getting close to that halfway point. There's 12 months in a year. So around that 6th month, that'll be the halfway point. We're going into the 4th month now. Number 4 for foundation building. Number 5 month for making changes and coming to a crossroads and deciding what direction we want to go into. And you know, that number 6 for making the adjustments. So yeah, definitely that time to set that foundation for the rest of the year and really take control of our reality for the rest of 2025. So those are the themes for this Universal 13 4-month. And now let's go ahead and transition over into the numerological breakdown of the word April. If you're new here or if you're new to numerology, you may or may not know that each letter in the alphabet is associated with a numerical value. And we primarily use 2 systems of numerology when we're assigning a numerical value to a letter. As you can see right over my shoulder here, we had the Chaldean system, which is the more ancient mystical system of numerology, and we had the Pythagorean system, also known as the modern system. Both are very accurate. You can use either one. I like to use both to paint a fuller picture. The Chaldean system also takes into account the compound numbers or the double-digit numbers before we reduce them down to a single digit. But as I'm breaking down the meaning of April from a numerical perspective, I am putting it in the context of the 4 universal month and putting the numbers that are calculated from April in conversation or in connection to the themes of the 4 universal month. So if you are familiar with numerology and you're looking at how I break down the numbers and you know that there's additional meanings of the numbers, I'm purposely not explaining all of the meanings of the numbers in an attempt to make it simple for all of you and make it practical and to show you how the universal energy and the energy of the word are connected and how they work together. So starting with the Chaldean system, the word April adds up to the number 15 compound and the number 6 when we reduce it down to a single digit. And in the Pythagorean system, it adds up to a number 29, which reduced down to 11. 2 plus 9 is 11, and 1 plus 1 equals 2. And normally we're breaking down names, you know, people's names when we're assigning numbers to letters, and a person's name can give us insights about their talents, traits, and abilities. They can give us insights about their needs, wants, and desires. It can give us insights about their personality. It can give us insights into how they approach situations and people. A lot of things can be told about the name. But I want to give another shout out to King Simon. He has a powerful series of lessons on his YouTube channel and in his membership, in which he takes popular words and phrases and sayings and he breaks them down in this way. So watching him do that inspired me to break down the months in this way also. And when we add up the sum total of a word, it's called the expression number. And the expression number tells us what you know. As Lloyd Strayhorn would say it, what you know, or what natural talents, abilities do you have without any sort of training or education. So the way that I'm going to explain April, since April's not a person, it's more like an energy. What what I pull from these numbers here will tell us what April knows and what April is here to tell us and share with us in order for us to be in harmony with these 30 days in April. So going into my intuition, number 2, April in the Pythagorean system equals up to a number 2, which represents intuition amongst the many other meanings and descriptions of it. So what my intuition is telling me about April, after adding up these numbers, is that April is here to remind us to be in balance, or perfected, or to be perfected humans of balance, as King Simon expressed in his book, Numerology for Mental Stability. And I mentioned Lloyd Strayhorn's name, but I need to shout out his book also, since I shouted out King Simon and Jackie Levine's book. Where did I put Lloyd's book? But Numbers in You. Where did I put Numbers in You at? Oh, here it is. It's behind me. Yeah, Numbers in You. So my inspiration for doing this universal month breakdown comes from this book, Numbers in You. Lloyd breaks down how to calculate your personal year, personal month, personal week in this book. So when you see me doing these monthly videos and going through the themes of the personal month, and when you see me doing the weekly videos when I'm breaking down the themes of the universal month, I get that from Lloyd Strayhorn. So I made sure I gave everybody their props in this video. and to let you know where you can go and do further research, because I'm not gatekeeping any information. I'm here to share. Sharing is caring, as they say. But going back to the breakdown of this word April, in the Chaldean system adds up to a 15, number 6, remind us to be in balance. And in this month of April, number 15/6 is also harmony. So April is reminding us or telling us that in all situations that we face or that we're approaching, that we want to approach them and bring harmony and balance to all situations that we're facing and experiencing in this month of April. And that to combine it with the Pythagorean system with the number 2 in order to ensure the best possible outcome and to ensure everything's in harmony and in balance, we need to tap into our intuition and listen to our intuition. Because yes, we can be helpful with that number 6. We can be helpful and compassionate with that number 6, that 15 and that number 6, and we can be loving to others, like with that number 2. But there's also a flip side to that with that 29, 11, and that 15. We also have to be cautious of who we trust and whose energy we allow into our space. And that's where the intuition comes into play. So by trusting our intuition and our intuitive powers first, we can bring harmony and balance to this month of April. All right. And that's all I wanted to share with you about the meaning of the word April from a numerology perspective. When we break down all the letters, add up all the letters to the sum total. I also want to mention that, a little bit of history, a little interesting piece of history about the month of April was that before the Romans added January and February to the calendar, April was actually the second month. And that's interesting that in the Pythagorean, the word April adds up to a number 2, and the earliest Roman calendar, it was the second month. And it's also interesting because the number 4 when you divide that in half, 2 is half of 4. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. But those are the themes for this universal month. This is the energy for the word April when we break it down by letters and numbers. So I want to close out by reviewing the themes and then also going into our reflection questions for this month of April. We have 3 reflection questions, but just to review the 4 universal month, it's just a time to lock in, put that work in, work harder than hard this month, get yourself organized, take a look at the systems that you have in place, where you can tighten things up so you can be as efficient, as organized, as structured as possible, so you can build that strong foundation for the rest of the year. But we will also want to bring balance to that hard work. I forgot to mention that in my breakdown of the word April about that balance energy and that balance theme. We want to bring balance to that hard work because we're humans, we're not machines. So bringing balance to that hard work means not neglecting our rest, not neglecting our health, not neglecting our mental. So ensure that you're getting adequate rest, adequate sleep. Ensure that you're infusing your mind with positive messages. And that's where the balance comes in. That's where the harmony and the balance comes in between that hard work and taking that time to rest. So let's go ahead and get into these reflection questions. I have 3 of them in accordance to the universal month and the breakdown of the word April. And the first question goes as follows. What structures and systems do I need to put into place to ensure that I am disciplined and working diligently this month? So you may already have some structures and systems in place, organization systems, processes that you implement or use to go about completing your task. But if you don't, this is a perfect time to put those into place. Or if you recognize some areas in which you need to tighten up with your systems and work so you can be more efficient and pay back that karmic debt, do that. But consider what your structures and systems are that can help you to be even more disciplined and work efficiently and diligently this month. Question number 2, reflection question number 2, in accordance to the the Chaldean breakdown of the word April. How can I bring more harmony and balance into my life this month? Especially when I know that I'm supposed to be locking in, putting my head down and putting in that work. How can I bring harmony and balance so I am taking care of myself and also taking care of the people around me, my loved ones and the people that I care about? How can I bring that balance between putting in that work, but also taking care of myself and others? And then the third question is in accordance with the Pythagorean breakdown of the word April, and that's all about intuition. What is my relationship with my intuition? Am I aware of my intuition? Do I trust my intuition? Do I listen to my intuition? And if I don't trust my intuition, and if I'm not tapping into my intuitive powers, what can I do, or how can I trust my intuition more and tap into its powers this month? So those are your 3 reflection questions for the month of April. You can just think about them, keep them in your mind, or if you're into journaling, you can write them down. These are excellent prompts to add into your journaling practice, which I definitely encourage I've done some journaling recently, and it's definitely helped me to express myself and rebalance and recenter myself. So I definitely encourage journaling. But to go back over those 3 questions one more time. First questions: what structures and systems do I need to put into place to ensure that I'm as disciplined as possible and working diligently this month? Number 2, how can I bring more harmony and balance into my life this month? And number 3, what is my relationship with my intuition? Do I trust my intuition, and do I need to make any adjustments in regards to how I trust my intuition and how I tap into my intuitive powers? So this has been your April Universal Month forecast for April 2025, as well as the numerological breakdown of the word April from both the Chaldean and the Pythagorean systems. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to know how this energy is affecting you on a more personal, intimate level, what your personal month, personal year frequencies are, just reach out to me for a session, and I'll show you how to calculate your personal months, your personal month, and what that means for you, and how to navigate that energy and to activate your personal power and abundance, which is the definition of supreme numerics from a numerology standpoint. I actually broke down supreme numerics back in September, and it adds up to an 8 in one system and a 1 in another system. 1 for that personal power, 8 for that abundance. So this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm here to help you do. Activate that personal power and abundance using the proper study and application of numerology. So I'm willing you all a productive, balanced, well-balanced month. And I'll see you on the other side. And I'll also see you for the weekly numerology forecast. And I'll also see you for Unread Book Review with Nick and Rue right here on the Mr. Westbrook's Class YouTube channel. So take care and continue putting in the work. Continue striving to be the best version of yourself. Peace.